Hey folks, it is Vince the Evil DM. We're back with another episode of Railguns and Dragons. Don't forget to check out the links below in this video for joining me on Discord. You can chat with me and a lot of the hosts from Unscripted Evil, chat old school gaming, Palladium gaming, all those fun, wonderful things. So check out the link below. Also, we're getting closer to 1,500 subs, which is an amazing achievement. I never thought this channel would get that far, but we are. We're almost there. So I appreciate all the encouraging words that everybody's been giving me out there, and all the likes, and the subs, and the comments, and everything, and people telling me to keep things up and what direction they want to see things go. So I appreciate that. But let's get into what we're here for this week, and that is the healer class for Palladium Fantasy. So the healer class, you could be any type of background, social position, religion, or faith. It doesn't really matter. That stuff has no relevancy to the class itself. The only thing that you have to worry about is a physical endurance of 15. The healing abilities that you get is kind of like psionic abilities, so it's based off of your physical endurance. So you need a physical endurance of 15 or more, because that's the base root of your powers, and we'll get into that in a moment. So healers are basically just wanderers or loners looking to sell their services to anybody in need. I mean, you got to make a buck somehow to live. So some of them resort to, settling down in a town and selling their abilities to the local folks just to heal them. Sometimes they become like elders in villages and small towns, and sometimes even kingdoms will hire these people as advisors because they have these abilities that they see as supernatural or godly or something or divine. So most people believe they are holy men when they really are not holy men whatsoever. But like I said, this class is kind of interesting because they could be lowly beggars walking around and you would never know, just healing people randomly, charging here and there just to survive. Or you might see one highly dressed, decorated healer in the midst of a kingdom sitting right next to a king and a throne because he has all these abilities, and the king is like, this man needs to be near me to protect me at all times type deal. And, the person's full of themselves because they have these healing abilities. It really is however you want to play this class. Is this more of an NPC class? No, it is definitely a player class, though the abilities are kind of capped, I should say, or limited, because once you hit level 3, you get most of everything you can do, and the only thing you get is more more points to use the abilities, and you get more skills as you go up. But that's standard for every class, so we'll get into that. So under the hood itself, the healer really doesn't know anything about spell casting or spell combat or anything like that. They actually use ISP, which is inner strength points, which is new to most classes if you're only playing Palladium Fantasy. It's not any other classes really use it. It's similar to how a Psionist would use his abilities, but inner strength points basically is your pool points to use these abilities. Now, it is your PE, your physical endurance, doubled. So if you had a 10, you start out with 20 points. If you had a 15, you start out with 30 points. So it really depends on your PE. Obviously, you can't have a 10, but that was just an example. So the higher your PE, the more points you have to play with. Every time you add a level, you can gain more points. You get 10 points per level. While this is not in the book, you can add and subtract to this number however you wish for the level of the campaign you're running. Maybe you want to make it a little easier for your group to have healing. You might want to add another 10 points, so it's 20 points per level. Or maybe you want a grittier campaign, so you want healing to be a little bit less frequent and a little bit less able to be accessed, so you make it 5. Whatever you do to change this class, ability-wise or point-wise, make sure you tell your player ahead of time during character creation so they know what to expect. You don't want to change it and not tell them and then be like, oh yeah, during the middle of the campaign, I forgot to tell you when you level up, you only get 5 points. Then it's going to be like, dude, you didn't, one of those. So go over it during character creation. I don't like to call it session 0 because it's called character creation. I've always called it character creation. Session 0 was a buzzword from Wizards of the Coast, which I didn't like. All right. Anyway, so back to what you were doing here. So whatever, tell your players during your character creation session about what's going on. So every time you use a healing ability, and it's listed here right on the page of the healing abilities, you look at next to it, it'll tell you how many ISP points it'll take from your pool, as well as who it will affect. It could affect yourself, and it could affect others, depending on the ability. Now, as you can see here, you get some at level 1, some at level 2, and some at level 3. And when you hit those levels, these are the abilities you get. Now, while there isn't many listed here, there's nothing stopping you from taking things from the Psionis class and adding them to this class. You are the GM, so it's your world and your rules and your story. Do as you wish. Will it overpower the class? Probably not. I wouldn't add things that would do offensive things, mostly defensive, I would see, like anything to do with healing or helping somebody and aiding somebody maybe in combat would be something proper to add to this class. Offensive things, probably not, unless it's something to help the healer himself in a dire situation. So, like I said, first level, they're only self abilities. So when you're level 1, you can only do things to help yourself. Once you hit level 2, that's when you start being able to help others and do things for other people. And then at level 3, you get a pretty powerful one of resurrection. So you're getting resurrection well before most things are getting resurrection. While there is still a cap on that resurrection percentage-wise, you still have the ability to do it at that low percentage. It still follows the same rules as a clergy priest. So you're not really getting much of an advantage, except getting it a little bit earlier. Like I said, this class is a little bit light, and obviously once you hit level 3, that's it. So the level 2 abilities are like Healing Touch and Lust for Life and Negate Toxins and Soothing Touch. Level 3 gives you Exorcism, which I never really ever used in any of my games, to be honest. Maybe that's just the way I play, but I'm sure people out there have. Resurrection, yeah, used that many times. Now, also when you hit level 3, you do get some bonuses to your saving throw, which is listed right here on the page on 152. These only hit at level 3. Now, if you don't read that paragraph, you may think you'll get them right away. You don't. It's at level 3 you get these abilities, and they don't increase as you go in level. You just get them right then and there. They do stack with other things that you get from other abilities and or items or whatever. It does list here, which I kind of found weird, that they're limited in the use of weapons by, not because of what they are, just a personal preference in life. I'm not sure why they listed that here, but it is listed here. And then it goes on further to list it under healers and weapons. They have a small list of things that they can use, and those are the only things they like to use. While you can use any weapon you pick up, regardless, you just won't get any bonuses. They prefer only what's listed under their electives. Hand-to-hand is non-men of arms. They can use any armor they wish, but again, they're not trained in the armor, so it really doesn't matter. You still get those negatives that anybody would get from not wearing certain types of heavy armor. Obviously, you can't cast spells whatsoever, but you can read scrolls if you can read, which most of them cannot, apparently. You need a PE of 15 to qualify, like I said before. You get medical, identify plants, healing abilities, like we listed, and speak 2 additional languages at bonuses, and then you get 6 electives at level 1, 8 secondaries at level 1. And then they have the list of things that you can have here, and you have 1801, which is one on the lower end of experience to get to the next level. This class is not that powerful. Again, adding a few things to it from the Psionis class would probably add a little bit more to this class and longevity of the class, because once you get everything at level 3, it's kind of like, okay, so what's next? Then you would probably look into doing something else. There's no restriction if you want to drop the class, so to speak, and become something else, like other classes have that restriction, like the Witch, for example. So maybe take a couple levels in this, get up to level 5, get your, base points added from the class, get your whatever points you have, wander over to something else and try something else in life and start there at level 1 and get up to level 5 and yada, yada, yada. That's just my suggestion for this class. It's not that powerful. Probably a good beginner class for somebody, I'm thinking. That's very new to the game. It's something simple to play, not a lot of options, so they can learn how the game is played and what the abilities are before they go out into the world and do other things in the game. So, yeah. Tell me what you think about this class. How have you used it in class? Is it mostly an NPC class in your game? Have you had players play it to the fullest extent? Do they do anything when they go to higher levels? What have you done to modify the class? I'd like to know in the comments below. I know there were some more abilities that were listed in Rifters later on, but again, this is the first edition era of Palladium Fantasy that I'm going over, so not a lot of stuff was available. But I'd like to hear what you have to say in the comments, so put it below. Don't forget to check us out, Unscripted Evil, this Friday. Will be the last episode of the year before we go into the Christmas and New Year's break, and then we'll continue back up in the new year. Discord links below. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.